Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a minute since I have filmed a video because life with twins is absolute chaos, but for the first time in forever, the twins are actually napping simultaneously. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on here and let y'all know how my labor and delivery went. So if y'all want to know what that looks like, go ahead and keep on watching. So I knew that I was going to go into labor early with the twins. I just knew it. I was constantly having contractions. Early on, I actually got put on pills to stop my contractions at like 30 weeks. I don't know, it was super early on. And those pills actually made me really sick and I could not stand it. So I actually stopped taking them. And so on my 35-week checkup, I went to my doctor's appointment and got ready. Everything was, perfectly normal. And then I was about to be late, so I was like rushing and I was already irritated. And so I finally get to the doctor's appointment and I'm like waiting. Mind you, okay, in the middle of this whole fiasco, I had to switch my doctor at like 32 weeks, 33 weeks, because I found out that he cannot deliver at any hospital in my area. So I had to find a doctor and switch hospitals, switch doctors, the whole thing. Like this is all when I'm like super pregnant. Y'all seen how big I was, okay? This is a whole thing, had to get a brand new doctor. And so this was my second time like meeting with this doctor ever, like second time he had ever seen me. And I go in and so we're waiting a minute, and because it's the second time, he's taking forever because he's going through my charts from my other doctor trying to catch up on, me, the twins, the pregnancy, that whole shebang. So I'm sitting there and I, start having contractions and I'm like, okay, once again, I'm already irritated because I was late and then now the doctor's late, so I'm even more irritated and I'm, huge and pregnant and uncomfortable. So sitting there and I start getting contractions and I'm like, okay, I've been having contractions on and off, but they never stayed consistent enough, for labor. And an hour goes by and I had consistent contractions that entire hour. And so I start, kind of timing them and just breathing through them. And the doctor finally comes in and I'm like, look, I've been having contractions this whole time I've been sitting here. Like, they're pretty close together. Like, what would you like me to do? So he sends me to the hospital. So this is at like 2 o'clock or so. So I finally get into the hospital and, they check me and stuff. And I was only dilated to like a 1.5. And so they were like, we're going to put you on the monitor, do that whole thing. And so that whole time I was having consistent contractions and just sitting there. Mind you, I'm supposed to go in for a C-section at some point. Like I was supposed to have a scheduled C-section. I'm not going to go into natural labor. I had my son in an emergency C-section, and because of it being twins, there was not going to be any chances taken. I was just going to go straight in for a C-section. So I'm, in labor having contractions, just, the early stages of it. I'm able to breathe through them and everything's okay on that point. And so I'm sitting there and it's just like nothing's happening as far as like if I'm going to be admitted, if I'm just going to stay here and have contractions in this, labor and delivery room. Like I was just so frustrated and I wanted to go home. I was hungry. I hadn't eaten all day. And so me and my husband are sitting there planning like, oh, okay, what are we going to do for dinner when we get out of here? Because by no means did we think we were having, the twins that day. Like we didn't have the bags. We didn't have anything. We just went from my doctor's appointment straight to the hospital. And so having consistent contractions, and then they check me again and I've dilated a little bit more. And I think it was like at a 2 at that point, but nothing like I wasn't kicking in, full on labor. And so they kept going. I kept, having contractions. And then finally the doctor decided, okay, because you're supposed to go in for a C-section, your labor isn't stopping. We're going to go ahead and send you in. And so we had already been there for hours at this point. And so I'm sitting there listening, you can hear everybody in this like room because you just have the sheets in between you, listening to everybody else get wheeled in, okay, congratulations, it's time. And sitting there just irritated out of my mind because I'm not getting taken back. And they finally came in and said, we are going to take you in for the C-section after this, lady in front of you goes. So I'm like, okay. And that hour in between them telling me that I'm going in for a C-section to actually going in for a C-section was crazy. Like, it went so fast. It was just like, we're gonna take you in for a C-section, and then bam, 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 bam. So I hadn't gotten any pain meds at this point. Like, they had asked me earlier, and I was like, no, it's okay, because I wanted to see what's gonna happen. And so I'm in, having all these contractions, don't get any pain meds because I'm going in for the C-section now. And so they start, prepping me and getting everything ready. And then, we go in and I do a spinal tap. So that was, it was okay. It wasn't painful or anything like that. I had an epidural with my first pregnancy and with my son, and I didn't expect to go in for a C-section. So it was just, I was constantly getting pain meds put into my epidural, where the spinal tap was just a one and done type of thing, and then your body, goes numb. So we get in there and, they start cutting me open, and I don't feel anything, like everything's fine. And so the babies are finally born, and Riot was first. He was born at 10:09 p.m. and Rain was born at 10:10 p.m. They automatically took the twins out. I didn't even get to see them. Like, they held them up, pulled them out, and took them away. And so they had to, get put on oxygen, and Riot had the cord wrapped around his neck. And so they did bring them over to me for 1 second. They literally put them on my head, let me give them a kiss, and then they took them away to the NICU. And so my husband followed them. And so after the babies were actually gone out of my room and into the NICU, I felt like I was just laying there forever. And I started getting, feeling back. And so they were still, stitching me up, and then they push on your stomach, and I could feel that pressure. And so I finally get, taken out of the OR into my, recovery. And as I'm sitting in recovery, they go, they move you from one bed to another. And at this point, you're not supposed to be able to move. You're supposed to be numb, And the ladies went to go like shift me, and I moved my legs. Like, I picked my legs up and moved them. And she was like, are you okay? Like, you're not supposed to have feeling back. And I was like, no, I'm in a lot of pain. And so the nurses were absolutely amazing, and they got my pain under control. After a while, it took a minute, but they finally got my pain under control. And then I got taken into our room, which I call my Beyonce suite, because it was huge. It was like a double room. So there could have been 2 people in it, but it was just me and the twins. Well, the twins weren't there yet. Me and my husband. So he had his own like hospital bed too. So that was really nice. And so I finally go back, and it's like midnight by the time I finally get back into the room, and I'm just exhausted, but none of my babies are with me, so I can't sleep. So I was up that entire night and into the next day, and Rain got released from the NICU in that afternoon, and so I was able to have her with me. And then so I was in the hospital for about 4 days. I did end up needing a blood transfusion. I did have a lot of problems with pain control. I lost a lot of blood. It was a mess, honestly. Like, it was a lot of pain. I've seen so many people where they say C-sections are the easy way out, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. I don't know what it's like to naturally have a baby. I know what it's like to be in labor for 15 hours because I was with my son. I know what it means to go into labor with the twins. And it's just, I don't actually physically push my babies out. They are taken out of me, and it is a surgery, and it's a lot of pain, and the recovery time is insane. And I had no choice but to, get up and try to start walking. And I was able to do all that stuff. And so about day 4, I got released. And the day that I got released, Riot got released from the NICU. And the amazing women at the NICU they were fantastic. Luckily, the twins were born before this COVID happened and before we went into quarantine. So I was able to have my husband with me the entire time. He was able to go down to the NICU when I couldn't. And I was able to have family and friends come and visit me once, I got home and everything. So it was definitely a journey, and I'm so glad that y'all have been a part of this with me. And I definitely plan on keeping you guys updated on, what's going on with the twins and, future videos. And I definitely want to do a video of my must-haves for twins, because there's so many things that I'm just like, thank God I have this. So if y'all want to see more videos like that, go ahead and comment below and tell me what y'all think, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.